Okay, well, hey, good morning, everybody. It's 10 o'clock. This is the third episode of the True Honest Talk Show, my new podcast, and I have my wonderful CEO, Anja Stewart Mathews, and she is the CEO, president of AJB Construction right here in beautiful McDonough in Henry County, Georgia. So I'd like you, Anja Stewart Matthews, to please say hello to our audience and tell them a little bit about yourself and your company.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me, Sean. So I was born and raised in the Bahamas and moved to Atlanta to attend Morris Brown College, where I received my undergraduate degree in architectural studies. From there, I went on to Southern Polytechnic State University, which unfortunately is now Kennesaw State University.
Yes.
I received my Master's of Construction, my Master's of Science there in Construction Management. And then I was fortunate to be hired right out of college to Erie International, where I gained valuable experience that helped me get a great foundation to be able to excel in this career. From there, I went on to Home Depot, where I was able to perfect my skill set on the pre-construction services side, doing pre-construction services for all of their new and renovated stores throughout the US and Canada. And over the past 14 plus years, I've been with the state at Georgia State Finance and Investment Commission and the Georgia Department of Corrections, where I've managed multi-million-dollar contracts and projects for them, some of which were the Kia Training Center down in West Point, Georgia. On Georgia State University's campus, I did the Science Park and their College of Law building.
College of Law building.
Yep.
Ah, great, because you know I'm a lawyer, right? Okay.
Yes, I do.
All right, so you're helping with profession.
And then I was fortunate enough to also work on the new Nathan Deal Judicial Center building. Okay. And
the former governor. It's named after the former governor. Okay.
Yes, it is. And the Metro Reentry Facility are just some of the few projects I've done that are near and dear to my heart. And with all of those accomplishments under my belt, I decided about 4 years ago to step out on faith and to start my own construction company, where I am president and CEO, along with two of my partners.
Excellent. So where are you currently located?
We are located downtown McDonough, just a block off of the square, 97 Keys Ferry Street.
And audience, I'm going to take a short break and do a proper introduction so that we can delve in deeper into the CEO's business, why she did what she did, her little secrets for success, and where she sees the construction and possibly housing market going in the future. I believe you're a real estate agent too. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm a licensed general contractor and real estate agent.
Okay, and I'm a real estate agent too, for those of you who don't know. But let's take a short break and I'll be right back with you, Miss CEO. Listen in as business experts reveal the how, the when, and the why of business, and they will share their secrets to success and profitability. Today's host is Dr. Sean Council Esquire, coming to you live on the True Honest Talk Show. So, please do me a favor and tell everybody about this podcast. Now, it's showtime. So, come on, let's go. Okay, so now, why don't you tell us why you chose construction? And I will say, the only reason why I'm asking is because I have a love for construction and architecture too. Okay. And I was very seriously considering being a civil engineer. Okay. Mm-hmm. And for people who know me, they know that I'm into remodeling of homes and bringing them up to standard and the landscaping. I can put in floors. I can do some plumbing. I can do, I did steps. I can work with cement. I made 3 patios, I can put in a vinyl flooring in a house. I refinished floors. I can do paint. I can paint. People wanted to hire me. They didn't know I was a lawyer. They wanted to hire me to be a painter. And I'm like, because they thought I did such a good job. I can paint a whole house outside. I love construction. And I do have some desire to maybe delve into this whole new area of prefab buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And tiny houses and creating more affordable houses for first-time home buyers. But I kind of want to focus on the 55 and older market as well, and creating some nice communities for them, affordable communities for them, because the time really is now to fix your housing. That's a major issue. And as you know, if you look at the market, there's so little housing stock available as well. It's good for home owners, but home buyers are having a trying time. And that's multifaceted. But a lot of the construction workers, as you know, have left the game. They retired. Even 2 of my construction guys have left the game, made their money, and they left. And so this isn't necessarily the discussion we're going to have today about the residential construction market, but that'll be in an upcoming podcast that I'll do. So that being a nice little foundation and background in terms of me and why my interest, why don't you tell our audience why you decided to do construction?
So for me, construction is a little bit of family legacy. As a kid, I spent a lot of my summers with my uncles and cousins on their construction sites, some of whom were carpenters, masons, and electricians. And I fell in love with it, going with them to the sites, digging ditches,
digging in the dirt,
pulling wires, mixing the cement. I loved all of it. And I thought it was great to be able to work outside and seeing a vision that was drawn on paper now being built and coming to fruition. I really get excited about that. Even on the projects I do now, when I go back and visit them and see them in the use that it was intended, for instance, the law building, when I see the students that are in there in the classes and are using the program and the building as it was designed to be and built. It gives me an amazing feeling of fulfillment and satisfaction. So I love that.
Absolutely. And you talk about a legacy, because when we're all gone to glory, to be someplace other than here, the building is
still here.
That's right. And it's such a good feeling to know, like the Colosseum, 2,000 plus years later, the Romans built that 2,000 years ago. And it's like, oh my God, I could go to Rome and see that right now, and it's just, that something is going to survive you. And then if it's well built and constructed well, it will be a generational blessing for the users going forward. Absolutely.
Yes.
So in terms of what you actually do, and I know you have 2 partners, but what is it that you specifically do as the CEO and president? What do you do? I know it's kind of everything, but what do you do?
So I oversee the day-to-day operations of the business, and as well as business development. But like you said, as a business owner, we do a little bit of everything. So if that means updating schedules, updating estimates, reaching out to the owners, just to kind of nudge them along and say, hey, you need to make a decision on this. We don't want the project to be delayed, or checking to see if materials are in, when will they be delivered, just a little bit of everything, helping coordinate everything and make sure the project runs smoothly.
Okay. And do you love what you do?
I absolutely love what I do. I can't imagine doing anything else outside of the field of construction.
Okay, so here we are, and thank goodness it appears that the COVID-19 infection rate is declining, or hospitalizations are declining, and yet, even with the trucker incident, the protest on the Canadian-U.S. border, that's subsiding now, finally. But we still have these supply chain issues. And clearly, we've had a number of overruns in terms of construction projects. And not only that, people have to go back and revisit their contracts in light of the increased costs associated with the supply chain disruptions. How have or has the supply chain disruptions impacted your business as a construction company? How is the supply?
Well,
What's the link?
For COVID overall, business did slow down somewhat initially in the beginning. And also, like you mentioned, we saw issues with finding laborers and materials.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we were able to pivot somewhat and do a lot of projects, exterior work type projects, such as parks, recreations, walking trails, site work, grading and parking lots. So that was a blessing.
Outside work.
Yes, outside work.
They didn't want you coming in.
Yes, they didn't want us coming in. So we were able to find projects on the outside. So that worked for us very well.
Good. And that's the thing. There are so many hidden gems in country in Henry County. And I took a lot of webinars during the throes of the pandemic with the chamber, and they gave us so many examples. Yes. They highlighted all of these parks and hiking trails and bike trails. You can even rent. I think it's called Arcadia Park or this one of the state parks. Are you familiar with it?
Well, pretty much all of the parks you can now rent bicycles or the electric bikes.
And all kinds of wonderful things. And the county has invested quite a bit of money towards outdoor spaces, to open spaces. And I just love Henry County. I just think it's just the greatest place to do business. So now, do you have any advice for young people who might want to get into the construction industry? Because we know that there are upwards of 200,000 jobs available in the construction industry right now. And I'm being conservative. I think it's a lot more than that, but that's the number that, I think is proper to say right now. And we need electricians, we need plumbers, we need pipe fitters, we need sewer guys that can lay the sewer pipes. We need roofers. Oh my goodness.
We need everything.
we need guys who can work with concrete. We need landscapers. We need everything. So what kind of advice do you have for young people who might be interested in masons? We need masons in the construction industry.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I have partnered with National Association of Women in Construction and have mentored women coming into this field, but also our K through 12 students.
Yes.
Going back into the schools and starting to educate the kids of these jobs that are available and need to be filled, letting them know about our vocational programs at our vocational colleges and apprentice programs that they can go into and learn something fairly quickly and come out, making a substantial amount of money, or perhaps being their own business owner as well. And that will definitely address the shortages for the electricians, the HVAC technicians, etc. Those vocational and apprentice programs are definitely the answer, I think, for filling a lot of these positions fairly quickly.
Absolutely. So I know that there are some community colleges in Henry, and at least 3 high schools. So are you familiar with actual vocational programs at the high school level that are geared towards the construction industry?
I'm not sure about the high school level. I know with NAWEC and other organizations, they do go in on certain days that the schools will allow and have you speak, kind of like, the talk about what is it that you do and kind of educate the kids that way. But that's definitely something to look into and get more in tune with for our local schools, for sure.
Okay, wonderful. So now I'm assuming you know about the very elaborate bidding process for state and local and municipal and county, because we really don't have munis, we got county, projects.
Yes.
Now, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you fill out and draft the bills yourself? Or do you farm that work out to bid or in some cases, they could be grants. It just depends. Writers. I just curious. Do you do it yourself? Because it's a lot. It's a 7-step process. It's on the website. It's huge.
So having been on the state side of things, working with Georgia Department of Corrections and Georgia State Finance and Investment Commission, we would help put together the request for proposals, requests for questions to go ahead and solicit the projects with your defined scope and go through the whole interview process and bidding process. But for me now on the construction side or program management side, I still do somewhat a bit of that, especially as the owner's representative, where I will help them craft their draft to be able to put on the procurement registry.
Oh.
Yes, and
You
that's
don't
what.
bid yourself. You're talking about your clients. You help your clients.
So for my clients, for me, if I'm bidding on a job, then I will go to the various procurement registries and I will look and see what they have available. For instance, if it's a new park project that wants a parking trail, up to, hey, that's in my wheelhouse. Let me go ahead and see what all they require, and if I have meet the necessary requirements in terms of bonding and minority small business certifications, etc. I'll go ahead and put a number on it and hope for the best.
Okay, now that's interesting. So you can get your certification at the state level, correct?
So
being a woman-owned business or a minority-owned business or a veteran-owned business or disabled person-owned business?
So there's different organizations that help you with your certification, or that I should say provides the certification process. The Small Business Administration, you can get certifications through there as well. Georgia DOT also has the minority certification and the disadvantaged business enterprise certification. And then you've got City of Atlanta with the female business enterprise. There's also the Greater Women's Business Council that you can, just one of the organizations that you can also go through to obtain your women-owned business, your women-owned small business. But so yeah, there's several avenues out there to obtain certification.
And so you walk your clients through that process?
I can.
Okay.
I can walk them
do
through.
They ask you to help them, your clients, by and large?
The clients that I'm working with now are pretty much owners and our county, so they're not looking for that services, but we certainly do offer it, and that's a part of my mentoring program with some of the women I work with in construction. I help walk them or give them tips as to, hey, maybe you should look at this or look at this website. Or here's what my experience was going through this certification process. So maybe you should make sure you have ABC lined up, or this is how long it takes. Yeah, just trying to share the information so that everybody can be able to get through that process, because it can be pretty detailed.
Very arduous. I mean, if you look at the website, I mean, I like the way it's laid out. I like the steps, but there's so much on that one page that it's like, it's a little overwhelming. I mean, it was for me. I'm not gonna lie.
But honestly, once you go through the first one and you have all of your information, it's kind of like doing your taxes. Once you have all of your information lined up, you just sit there and you just, begin the application process, and it's pretty much almost the same information that they ask for each of the certifications. So it's just making sure you have your business license, your articles of incorporation, have everything up to date and ready to go, so that you can be able to fill out those certifications and renew those certifications when needed as well. Yeah.
Yes. And so, but that is true. That is probably a much easier process, the certification for small business, minority or veterans or disadvantaged or women. And that doesn't appear to be very arduous. But what I was talking about was the bidding process for the various requests for proposals that are out there. And I was talking specifically about the Georgia DAS, I think it is, maybe
DOAS.
Yes, the
DOAS,
Department of Administrative Services,
yes.
or similar to that, which
Yes.
is, and that is the process. That's I think it's 7 steps, and it's quite arduous. And it would be really helpful if there were a key person in the county that for a fee, they would help with that whole application process. And that's the thing is too, I think it might be difficult. And why I'm saying that is because you clearly don't want to outbid yourself. And I think it's very difficult if you're providing a service that requires you getting product from afar. Even Canada these days.
Yes.
It's very difficult to do an accurate proposal, and the state is in control of that contract. Okay. They're in control of that. So, you could clearly end up working for nothing if the product ends up costing you a lot more money. And so I think that may also be a reason why we've seen so few permits pulled. And so little work done, because people there's too much uncertainty about the price.
Yes.
Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that?
I do agree.
I'm just saying. If you don't agree, you don't have to agree. Just tell me what you think.
Several projects I'm working on now, we're having to revise scope or get what we call value engineering in the industry, where we look at different materials, we look at different products and determine a different product we can use or a different way we can build it with materials that are available. Or are similar to what you have, but maybe at a lesser cost. But that value engineering is definitely the thing that we're doing almost every day here, because the market is fluctuating so much with price increases.
And is that software driven, that valuing engineering?
Not necessarily. So once you have all of your once you have the design and you have your bids together, and for instance, I'm working on a project right now. It's we're halfway through design. We're working on our preliminary estimates, and of course, they're over the owner's budget. So we're going back and we're saying, hey, do we need all of these spaces, or do we need to put steel here, or can we put wood here? Just coming up with a list of different scenarios and pricing those, and then presenting those to the owner and going back and saying, hey, are you okay with if not using steel here, maybe we use wood here? Just different options to still give them the product that they want, but
based on current prices. And
based on the current prices. And it is a moving target, so it's it's just the market we're in today. But value engineering is just the term for today.
And the cost of lumber has decreased, but for a while it was and a lot of it comes from Canada. Who would have known that all the cedar that we get comes from Canada?
You'd be surprised how many materials we have shipped in, depending on the type of buildings that we're building.
Yes. And so the cost of lumber has come down since 2020 and 2021. But has it gone back? I don't believe so, but I'm asking you because you deal with wood every day. Has it gone back to 2019 prices or no?
No, nothing's gone back. Like I said, the prices continue to go up. We're hoping it stabilizes soon or go back down, but prices are still pretty high.
and my audience, some of the questions I'm asking you, people ask me. So I kind of already know the answer, but I want my audience to hear what you have to say. But I mean, at the end of the day, there have been a few suppliers and manufacturers who have said, we're never going to decrease the prices. They're at where they're at, and that's where they're going to stay. and we may not have them go up, increase much more, but this is the new price, and they have no intention, despite supply and demand factoring in, to have it go back to pre-pandemic prices. I'm just saying that's what I heard with my own two ears. And so that's a little bit daunting, especially if you're talking about building.
Yes.
It's really daunting when you talk about building, because obviously, unless you get a real flush or of capital, you can't really build the scope of project that one might want.
Exactly. Exactly. So you're having to decrease, and you're having to, change products.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
today's market.
Right. So, and do you do anything on the residential side? I mean, you said you're a real estate agent. Do you see any developers really? I know there are a few projects, developments in Henry County, but my understanding was as early as and they weren't even complete in November, that most of those are already under contract. But have you seen? I know, and they weren't even done yet, but there are a few in Henry, and they look really nice too. But as a real estate agent, do you see an increase in the on the horizon for residential builds?
Well, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, I had a client recently where we started at one price, and I don't even think it was 2 months. The house certainly hasn't even been built yet, and it had jumped up over $60,000. So the prices are still rising, and I don't know, what do you say to somebody that says, this is my budget right now and this is what I want? Trying to get
the budget isn't enough.
The budget isn't enough.
And there are people coming in with cash. And
yes.
prior to the pandemic, they could have bought or built the dream home of the home of their dreams.
Yes, and then with the cash offers, they're coming in asking for no contingencies, no due diligence or anything. So it really knocks the average home buyer that maybe is a veteran home a buyer, or maybe it's just your conventional FHA or conventional buyer. It really knocks them out of the highest and best offer. That seems to be the new term by most of these agents, but it's difficult. I've seen people under contract with one price, and again, before the house is built, they've increased that same house, over $30,000 again. So it's
and there are people who have hired construction companies to add additions or remodels to make their existing home their dream home. And the cost of the supplies had to be passed on to the home buyer, and they have been astronomical. And of course, in the short term, you may get an increase in the assessed value of the property, or even a fair market value of the property. But if you're not going to sell right now, you also have the increase in the taxes. So you're still paying ultimately for that. And then with respect to your contracts on these new builds, it's like, oh my God. And I know someone in my family who's a general contractor, of course. And so he's building multiple single family dwellings at a time. And the overruns have been astronomical. Nobody anticipated, a 20 to 50% markup on a lot of these products. And then, you can't build a house without plywood. I mean, really. You can't.
And that's across the board in residential and commercial construction.
Yes, you can't build without plywood. And so, and then what happened with a lot of these contracts, people have pulled out of them, the scenario that you gave, because they didn't want to pay the increase in the cost that the builder had to pay to finish the house. And some people have walked away from their contracts only to find that they can't find anything, they're priced out of the market. They can't find a substitute house. And that's not even a new house. They can't find a substitute older house.
Not even the new house. I mean, even to rent something right now, some people are paying, their rent is more than what their mortgage was. So
yes. Yes, and so I guess kind of we could have this wonderful conversation for hours, and it's already 10:30, and I have thoroughly enjoyed this. But one of my next episodes, what do you think about this? Is talking about from an economic standpoint the need to fix your cost and getting out of an apartment into your own home in the long term and with a fixed mortgage rate, okay, is far better than what many renters are experiencing now, where after the post-pandemic or during the pandemic, after the eviction moratorium ended, that they have said that residential renting leases have gone up 20 to 40% depending on what market you're in. That is huge. That's a huge amount of money. And so, but these landlords have to recover financially for all the tenants who stayed in their homes and didn't pay them, and they're on foreclosure. And so, you know, it's this has been an experience. But home buyers, you know, if they want to go and buy something else, you know, they need a house too. So and if the prices are high, they got to sell high so they can buy something. So where are they going to live?
And a lot of them are renting back. They sell to the cash buyers and investors, and they're renting their home back too as an option because they can't find anything else too.
Yes, I know. And so I think in a way it's a very exciting time in the real estate market, and it's very uncertain as well. But if you're a developer, I think somebody like you could help a developer price it out and figure it out so that it's profitable for a developer to develop. And
that's a part of our pre-construction services we offer. And so if somebody is out there and wants help with design, walking them through the design and construction process, hey, give us a call.
Okay, absolutely. So this has been, I have to have you back. This has been fabulous. I have enjoyed this thoroughly. This is an area that I very much like. I hope you probably feel my enthusiasm about it.
I do.
And so for all of you who want to learn a little bit more about AJB Construction Group, you can contact Anja Stewart Mathews, and she is in the beautiful city of McDonough, Georgia. Why don't you tell us again your address, if you'd like to give your phone number so that people can call you with any questions or about developing some sort of construction project in beautiful Henry County. Why don't you tell us your contact information?
So sure, we're located downtown McDonough, just a block off of the square at 97 Keys Ferry Street. Our office phone number is 678-880-4912. You can also look us up on our website at ajbconstructiongroup.com, and we are also on LinkedIn.
All right, fabulous. Well, we'll have you back. You take care. Thanks for listening, everybody. And here's just a final little tidbit for all of you. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to True Honest Talk with your host, Dr. Sean Council Esquire. Please subscribe to my podcast so you will know every time I post a new episode. You can reach me on Instagram at True Honest Talk. That's TRUHONEST. Talk. Until next time, please stay safe, stay healthy, and stay encouraged. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.